guess what time it is? It's cookie season. I'm Ella here, your favorite Girl Scout, and we have your oldies but goodies. Lemonades, dimmits, peanut butter sandwiches, and more. This year we have a new cookie flavor called the Explore Mug. My goal is 200 boxes, so please make that happen. You're gonna buy cookies anyway, so why not buy them from me?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for March 2nd, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast, the first episode of March. And let's get right into it and rewind the weekend like we do every Monday. Brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. They got you covered for all of your Philly apparel needs. Best shirts in the area, so go check it out. They got Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, Union, Philly-centric. You name it, they got it. So go check them out and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off. All right, let's start with the Sixers. And just when they suck me in again, Joe gets another mysterious injury. This time it's a right oblique strain. He missed last night's game and will miss the next two, I guess, until they quote-unquote reevaluate it. But without Joe, they were no match for the Celtics last night. 114-98. Tyrese did have 33. VJ had 23. But without Joe, it's tough going. They were able to cut it to 6 with 4 minutes left. And then, of course, Boston went on a run because that's what happens. 3-game win streak is snapped. Not a good game as far as the standings either to lose, but hopefully nothing serious with Joe. But again, every damn time I get sucked in, something like this happens. They're off tonight, take on the Spurs tomorrow night. Another tough game with Wemby, and they've been playing well, so tough sledding, especially without Joe for the Sixers. Flyers, though, did win on Saturday, 3-1 win over the Bruins. Sean Couturier, Jamie Drysdale, and Travis Konechny all scored. Dan Vladar was in goal. So 2 straight wins now for the Flyers heading into the trade deadline. They're in Toronto tonight. Hopefully they can keep that momentum rolling, but a solid win for the Flyers. Again, Boston might not be that good this year. However, a win is a win, and that's 2 in a row. Win tonight, it's a winning streak, and it's happened before. All right, tough sledding for the Union down at Subaru Park for their home opener for the MLS, losing 2-1 to New York City Football Club. Indiana Vasilev scored in the 89th minute to tie the game for the Union, who then went on to lose it in extra time, 2-1. They're off until Saturday when they're back home again at Subaru Park to take on San Jose. 0-2 start to start the season. I guess it's just going to take them a little bit of time to get things in order. We'll see. Some Eagles news. Gerard Johnson, who will be joining the the coaching staff on offense. I don't hate this because he also interviewed for the offensive coordinator job, was linked to, I believe it was Texas Tech or Texas A&M, one of those two schools. But I saw a lot of people saying, who's going to call the plays? You have too many pots now or too many cooks in the kitchen, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I like it because that offense was absolutely stagnant last year. So now you got 3 more young guys in there, fresh ideas, and I liken it to, and you've heard the stories and I've seen the documentaries on Mike Holmgren when he was in Green Bay, when Andy Reid and John Gruden were there, and they would just like cook up plays, and everybody had their things, and you look what happened with them. I mean, they won to a Super Bowl, went to another one. So I like this. I mean, especially again, Nick has said that there's going to be the plays that worked and their favorite plays from the old offense are still going to be around. But you have three fresh idea guys now. I don't see how this could be as bad as the offense was last year. So I like it. And they kind of are covering themselves too if it does work out that not all three of these guys are going to leave at the same time. I don't think, anyway. So good. I think it's a good move. You can't have too many good ideas, and hopefully the collaboration will translate onto the field. I like it. There will be a new Brotherly Birds breakdown this Wednesday. Kyle and I are going to be recording. It'll be out late. But stay tuned for that. We'll talk about this and upcoming free agency and where the Eagles are going to go from here. Down to Florida. And it was a solid weekend for the Phillies, at least for the pitching staff. Bryce Harper is no longer with the team. He left to go to the USA World Baseball Classic camp. So some of these young guys will get a chance to play. But from a pitching perspective, Andrew Painter looked good yesterday. It is spring training. Yes, I know. But 2-inning pitch, 6 batters retired, threw 20 pitches total, 14 of them for strikes, hit almost 97 with his velocity. So I will take that. Saturday, Christopher Sanchez was also sharp. 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, but 4 strikeouts, hit 96. Changeup was nasty. So good. I mean, they're going to need all the help they can get from the pitching staff. And again, one of my highlights coming up of this season is going to be the young guys. So I'll take it. I'll take it for the Phillies. But kind of, like I said, a mixed bag weekend for our sports teams. Of course, Villanova gets absolutely destroyed by St. John's. And if you watched any of that game, Rick Pitino literally dressed like Colonel Sanders. It was ridiculous. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. He made a choice. Believe it at that. He made a choice. All right, what happened this weekend in Philly sports history? Well, February 28th, we'll go back to 1986 first, and the Sixers beat the Mavericks 123-120 when Dr. J hit a half-court buzzer beater to seal the game for the Sixers. Good old Doc turning back the hands of time and making some magic happen. Then in 2008, the Philadelphia Union were officially founded. They were later named in 2009, but the Philadelphia Union, happy belated birthday to you. And then in 2019, the big story sent shockwaves across the baseball world. The Phillies announced that they were signing Bryce Harper to a 13-year, $330 million contract. And the rest, they say, is history. Bryce is still here, hasn't delivered that World Series, but these young guys can step up. We'll see what happens. And then on March 1st, go to 1986 and 2014. We'll do both of these together because it was a day for Philly hoops legends. First, in 1986, the Knicks retired Earl the Pearl Monroe's jersey. And then in 2014, AI had his jersey retired by the Sixers. An interesting one here, 1938. March 1st, 1938, the first ever fight card at the legendary Blue Horizon happened. And what a lot of people don't probably realize is, at the time, it wasn't the Blue Horizon. It was simply a Moose Lodge that decided to have some fights to make money. And again, as I said earlier, the rest is history. If you've ever seen a fight at the Blue Horizon, it was interesting. It was an old building. It was always hot. Smelled like cigar smoke, but just a cool, like, old school fight venue. Opened on March 1st, 1938. And then 1988, Flyers beat the Canucks 7-3. Rick Tocchet with his second consecutive hat trick, becoming the first Flyer to ever have back-to-back hat tricks in consecutive games. And that's Rewind the Weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com for your Philly based apparel and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, Friday, in honor of Tyrese Maxey becoming the Sixers' all-time leading three-point in a career shooter. In honor of Tyrese Maxey becoming the Sixers' all-time leader in career three-pointers made, I asked who are the top 10. Well, I gave you Maxey, I gave you AI, and then the top 3 through 10, Robert Covington, Kyle Korver, Tobias Harris, Joel, Andre Iguodala, Hersey Hawkins, J.J. Redick, and the one that threw everyone off, number 10 all-time for a career for the Sixers, Furkan Korkmaz. Yep, Furkan Korkmaz. Thank you to everybody who tried to get that last one, but Furkan Korkmaz. All right, some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on all socials at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word. I mentioned the Brotherly Birds breakdown will be out on Wednesday, late Wednesday, maybe early Thursday. Got a late week this week. With the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, they're partnering with the National Liberty Museum for a year-long exhibit they're having on the freedom of assembly, the forgotten freedom. Pretty cool. There's a part of the display that talks about sports and how people gathering and this, that, and the other. It's a really cool thing. So if you can go to the National Liberty Museum website, they have more information on it there. But Thursday night, I'm going down to the VIP reception. At least I think I am. I'm kind of planning on it. I don't know the details yet, but it should be a good time. So that's why Brotherly Birds Breakdown will be out late. And come Friday, I will be exhausted. I also wanted to thank everyone for helping with Ella's Girl Scouts. We were able to achieve our goal, but you can still get cookies. Buy the bonus cookies. Help a girl out. Also, want to shout out the Upper Dublin boys and girls. Boys won the districts. I mentioned that the other day. Went down to St. Joe's with the family. Saw them systematically dismantle Pennsbury. Their defense is just incredible. They're a well-coached team, and they're moving on to the state tournament. So shout out to the Upper Dublin girls. Did get the chance to see my alma mater, Coatesville, in the second game, losing a tough one to Plymouth Whitemarsh, but a good day of high school hoops down at Hawk Hill. And then watching the Sixers game last night, shout out to Mike Tirico. They were talking about Boston and Philly and how the fan bases are great. No matter which stadium you go into, they're tough but knowledgeable, very complimentary of both fans. And Reggie Miller had to say, I don't know, Philly's just a little bit different. I mean, anybody who boos and throws snowballs at Santa. And I got to give Mike Tirico credit, who said what we always say when somebody says it. He was like, come on, man, that happened in the 60s. And of course, Reggie Miller retorted, but it happened. It happened. Never did like Reggie Miller. But shout out to Mike Tirico for sticking up for Philly fans. We need somebody like that to help retire the throwing snowballs at Santa narrative, which is old, played out, and quite frankly, lazy journalism. Yeah, Reggie, lazy journalism. This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. All right, March 2nd. First, we're going to go back to 1962. And the Philadelphia Warriors beat the New York Knicks 169 to 147 out in Hershey. And it was one of the most ridiculous feats in all of sports. Wilt Chamberlain had the most Wilt Chamberlain night ever, scoring 100 points on 36 for 63 shooting, setting the NBA scoring record, breaking his own record of 78, which he set earlier that season. There's no video footage of this game. It was the early days of the NBA, but legendary statistician Harvey Pollack did keep track and legitimize the 100 points scored in a season. He was the one that was responsible for, you've all seen it, the photo of Wilt Chamberlain holding 100 on the card. So rumors and legends has it with this, and I think this is the most incredible part of the story. It was late in the season. Wilt was, I believe, up in New York City, partying all night. Got a car, got a ride to Hershey, made it in time for the game. The story goes he had little or no sleep, was probably still hungover from the night before, and still managed to score 100 points. And again, that's why it's the most Wilt Chamberlain of all Wilt Chamberlain days. But on this day, Wilt Chamberlain scores 100 points in the 169-147 win over the Knicks. Got kind of crazy at the end. The Knicks were not trying to let him score 100 points, so they were fouling him. And then they were fouling other people, so Wilt wouldn't go to the line. And then the Warriors coach was trying to get him 100, was fouling. So like the last 5 minutes or so of that game took forever to complete with all the fouls. But Wilt scored his legendary 100 points in a game on this day out in Hershey in the Warriors 169-147 win over the Knicks. And that does lead us to today's trivia question. The top 10 all-time scoring games in NBA history are littered with Wilt Chamberlain performance. But who are the top 5 non-Wilt Chamberlain scoring games? There's quite a few of them, but if you ever look at the list, there's a lot of Wilt Chamberlain. But who are the top 5 non-Wilt Chamberlain scoring games in NBA history? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Discord channel, which is in the description. But top 5 non-Wilt Chamberlain scoring games in NBA history. All right, fast forward then to 1993. Flyers beat the Penguins 5-4 at the Spectrum. 5 different Flyers scored goals, including Rod Brind'Amour, who also added 2 assists. But the story of this game was, in a surprising move, Mario Lemieux made his return to the Penguins lineup just days after going his 22nd and final treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Received a huge standing ovation from the Flyers faithful, and in his first game back since January 5th, had a goal and had an assist. But Mario Lemieux with an amazing return from Hodgkin's disease and was able to come out in his return to the Spectrum, score a goal and an assist. But the Flyers got the 5-4 win. Sticking with the Flyers and going back to only 2 years ago, 2024, Flyers beat the Senators 4-2 at the Wells Fargo Center. Joel Farabee, Cam York scored goals. Tyson Forrester had 2 goals for the Flyers, including a penalty shot, which it was a huge penalty shot for him. 5th Flyers rookie, joining Matt Reed, Darryl Powell, Eric Lindros, and Ilka Sinisalo as the only Flyers rookies to score on a penalty shot. But it was the Flyers' 5th penalty shot of the season, setting the NHL record for penalty shots in a season with 5. And that all happened on this day in 2024. Flyers beat the Senators 4-2. Tyson Forrester, 2 goals, including a penalty shot. 5th Flyers rookie and the 5th one of the season for the Flyers, setting the NHL record. All right, it is March. That means it's Women's History Month. And as we always do, we're going to spotlight some excellent women in sports who have Philadelphia ties. And every journey starts somewhere. For these women, it started in Philly, whether it was on the playground, the rec centers, gyms, or the college courts here in the city. And it led them all to the WNBA. So this is our Women's History Month spotlight, straight from Philly to the WNBA. And we are going to start with Temple's own Candice Dupree. She was an Oklahoma native, grew up in Tampa, but came to Temple, graduated. She was a 3rd-team All-American while at Temple, 2-time A-10 Player of the Year. Her number 4 is retired in the rafters down at the Leah Corus Center. She's Temple's number 5 all-time leading scorer, number 4 in rebounds, helped lead them to 3 A-10 tournament championships, 3 NCAA tournament appearances. And then from there, she was the number 6 overall pick in the WNBA with the Chicago Sky, and she went on to have an excellent 16-year WNBA career, winning the championship in 2014 with the Phoenix Mercury. She was an all-rookie team, 7-time All-Star, and what I think was pretty cool, in the offseason, she also played professionally overseas and did win, I believe it was a Hungarian championship. She is coaching today, but she started as a player development coach with the San Antonio Spurs, and today she is the head coach at Tennessee State. From Philly to the WNBA, we celebrate the women who made the journey, and Candice, shout out for making us Temple Owls proud. Candice Dupree from Oklahoma, grew up in Florida, but really earned her stripes down on North Broad at Temple, which culminated with her going into the WNBA and having a pretty damn good WNBA career. So all throughout the month, we'll look at coaches, front office personnel, players who are in the WNBA or were in the WNBA, but have those local ties, whether it be born here, high school, college, either way. Looking forward to it this month. But Candice Dupree is today's first spotlight. On this day in 2024, Flyers beat the Senators 4-2. Tyson Forster with a penalty shot, one of his 2 goals. 5th Flyers rookie to do it. It was the 5th one of the season for the Flyers, setting the NHL record. 1993, Flyers beat the Penguins 5-4. Mario Lemieux makes an amazing return from Hodgkin's disease to score a goal and assist, but the Flyers get the last laugh, winning the game. And of course, 1962, probably one of the most unbreakable records in sports history. Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game. I don't know. Would love to know your thoughts on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Is this the most unbreakable record? Is it Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak? Cal Ripken's streak? What is the most unbreakable streak in all of sports? Hit me up and let me know. All right, we will have more on the Flyers who are up in Toronto. Keep you posted on what happens down at Phil's spring training. If there's any Eagles news, and of course, any updates on Joe's side. Again, every time they suck me in, every time something like this happens, it's like you would think at some point I would learn, but they get me every time. Every time. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 2nd, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.